Okay, Robin Mize, my longtime mindful eating therapist. Oh my
Hi,
God.
Sarah.
Robin, you're amazing. You've done so much for myself in my life. And I know many of my listeners have called you or just, reached out to you or become patients of yours, and you've changed a lot of people's lives.
Aw, that's so nice of you to say that, Sarah. And it's so fun to be here with you. I'm really excited to talk to you about this because I think it's like very confusing for all of us.
Yeah, I wanted to have you on because I've been thinking about, can Ozempic and these new, or Wegovy, these new weight loss Manjaro shots, because when I talk about this, I get a lot of backlash because I have very hot takes on this, but I'm trying to be open-minded.
Mhm.
Can Ozempic and mindful eating or mindful living coexist?
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, we were just talking about how science can, I mean, I wouldn't, it's a medicine and it treats a health disorder, which is obesity. And obesity is very different from what we talk about emotional eating. That's it's a different category, and we got to be able to separate out apples and oranges. And I also think, this is the thing that I see with this medicine that I feel good about helping people who have addictive eating disorder, which is the kind of person which I'm talking about when your brain will not leave you alone and you can't stop eating, not because you're a bad person. It's not a moral issue. And this is the problem that people have for years, just said, just diet. And this is it when you get to the extreme um, state where people are addicted to food. It's like being addicted to alcohol. They can't stop. Their brain is sending them into these compulsive behaviors. And this stops that without like nothing like speed or something that just stops you altogether. It turns down the dials, and it's stopping the addictive thinking. So people on this are having all kinds of addictions go away. And this is anecdotal. They're starting to do tests in mice, and they haven't done tests in humans, but anecdotally people say, I stopped, shopping addictively. There's one story in an article about a woman who was addicted to alcohol, got sober, then started eating and shopping.
Hmm.
And she said she would go to Target and, spend $500 when she went for one thing. She couldn't leave Target without a full basket. And she started taking Ozempic for the obesity because she also had binge eating disorder. And she stopped. She said, I realized one day I was leaving Target with just the things I came for. And I'm like, oh my God, it's kind of amazing. And it doesn't make you not eat. It makes you not crave and overeat.
Eat
So in a
less.
way, it's kind of, I think, an amazing evolution. And I think it's way healthier than bariatric surgery, as far as I can tell. I'm not a doctor. And let me just say that right up front. I am not a doctor. This is the kind of thing you need to talk to your doctor about. But that's a very different thing than the kind of thing that you dealt with,
Right.
which
Yeah,
was,
yeah. Talk to me. I mean, Robin, how many years has it been that you've been, I mean, I know you're also a couples therapist. I mean, you're a
right.
longtime licensed couples therapist, but then you kind of got into this niche of helping people mindful eat, right? And the
Right.
backstory of you and me is, I mean, I've known you now for over a decade and been a patient of yours on and off. And I found you because I was like, at my wit's end of I'd been dieting since I was 12. That's when I went to my first Weight Watchers meeting. From
Right.
12 to the age of 28, I gained and lost 150 pounds. I was a binge eater, emotional eater, I had eating disorders. And like kind of in a moment of panic, I had Googled giving up dieting in Washington, D.C. And your name had come up because you were going to be speaking at Circle Yoga in
Right.
Chevy Chase. They were doing kind of a, get back to yourself, giving up dieting. Do you want to get out of this diet cycle? And I remember I like called you. I was like, I can't really wait for the seminar. Are you
Yeah.
taking on patients? And then
Yeah.
we got going ever since. But how many years have you been seeing people with emotional eating disorders talking about mindful eating?
It's been, uh, well, really like about 23 years, 23 years. And when
Mm.
I started doing mindful eating groups, it was before mindful eating was a thing. And I had come to it because I had that same thing you did of emotional eating. I gained weight, but I have to say there's a difference between what was going on with me and what goes on with my patients whose weight gain gets up to, really life-threatening levels. But I was yo-yoing and everything. And what solved it for me was actually getting pregnant. My pregnancy sort of like, I let go of dieting and I was like, oh my God, wow, I can trust myself. And when I was done, I could trust myself. And it was like recalibrating what I thought I should be, like that body dysmorphia. I thought I really should be 30 pounds thinner than I am right now, but knowing that my body will find its place, that's worked for me, but that doesn't work for everybody. And that's the thing that I discovered doing these groups is that it's not a one size fits all.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
need to find the thing that works for them. I would never judge somebody, for getting past their eating disorder, but landing in a body they weren't happy about and wanting to lose weight. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to lose weight. I don't think there's anything wrong with not wanting to lose weight and feeling like, I don't want to get back into that. I'm happy with the size I am. I'm accepting this. I think we have to come from the inside out, but I don't want to dictate to people. This is my thing. I mean, it's kind of become, over the years, I've watched it change. And now we're in the haze period, happy at every size, which I love. I love the idea of body positivity and body neutrality even more. Like, why do we even have to care? It should just be my business, not your business, what my body's is like. But it's kind of become militant at this point where you can't want to lose weight. And I don't think that's right either. Like, people should do what's right for them once they, and also get away from the suffering of being in the dieting mentality, which is different than saying, I'm going to eat healthy, or, I mean, that could also be code for dieting, but you know what I mean by the dieting mentality, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was in it for years. I mean, I was always on Atkins or South Beach and buying these books. And, the thing with it's like proven with diets, right? 95% of these traditional diets, of these Atkins, of Weight Watchers, they fail for
restricting. Yeah.
Yeah, and they fail for 95% of people, meaning they've done many studies. Within 5 years, almost everybody gains the weight back and more, right? If you're on Weight Watchers and suddenly you stop. That's always my thing with Ozempic. And I'm curious what you think. Like, I always say to people, how is Ozempic going to treat the mental part of it, right? Because for me, the emotional eating, years of dieting, really was dealing with unresolved grief around my dad's death. And at the time, everybody knows I was on a morning show that was very successful, but highly toxic behind the scenes. And I didn't even realize how toxic it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, what's your take as a longtime therapist on that? Like, because I see a lot of people using Ozempic that are maybe 30 pounds overweight. They're not obese. I mean, I agree with you when it comes to people who, we know obesity is a disease, right? And we're talking extremes, right? You're 150, 200 pounds overweight. Your body is shutting down in some degrees. I think Ozempic, absolutely. Why not? That would help. But I'm just wondering how you think Ozempic is Ozempic going to hurt people because it's not going to treat the mental part of it?
Well, so Ozempic, the drug is semaglutide, and it's in Wegovy and Mounjaro, all the things. It's for, created for diabetics because it treats insulin resistance. There are biological things that it's treating. It's a medicine. And that's why I say, you need to talk to your doctor. But when we're talking about these other things like trauma and using food the way you might abuse alcohol, and it's just like alcohol. Some people can address their trauma and they stop abusing alcohol. They learn, they can even, I mean, I quit drinking because I felt like alcohol was becoming this, it never used to be, but after I turned 50, my cravings went up and my tolerance went down. And I was like, this doesn't feel right, where I have to have a glass of wine every night. Like, I'm pushed, my brain, I could tell, because I've quit smoking before. I've quit other things. I could tell. I was like, oops. And I could just stop. Well, that's different than somebody who has extreme alcoholism, addiction to alcohol. They want to stop and they can't stop. And if there's a drug that stops that brain reward circuitry, that is keeping you addicted. That would be beautiful. My God, if this drug does that for all the things, I mean, people have found they stop other compulsions too, like skin picking and nail biting and things. It's biology. So nobody really knows why that's happening, actually. I don't think, from what I can tell. It's like, so
Isn't that crazy?
what's going on? I don't know. But everybody, I mean, I also think it's a drug. It has side effects. It's not worth taking if what you're talking about is the vanity part.